Welcome to the Milo Sweet Podcast, where you learn to achieve more with less by being resourceful. And watch me occasionally get off topic. Let's get into the show. Hello, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. Oh my gosh, it's been a while. Just imagine, where have I been? Just imagine someone, took me scuba diving and they forgot to give me a life jacket and like the little oxygen thing that you use. And somehow I had to, in an hour, no, usually it's like a minute. You maybe have a minute or two of oxygen. Actually, let me look that up. How much oxygen do you actually have? How much oxygen do you have when scuba diving? Let's see. It says about okay, how much oxygen does the average scuba diver need? For all practical purposes, you count as if, hold on, page is loading. You count as if you are using 20 liters per minute at the surface. 10 meters, it's 2 bars, hence 40 liters of air per minute. At 30 meters is 4 bars, hence 80 liters per minute, and so on. So I have no idea what they're meaning. So basically, in theory, you have 50 minutes worth of oxygen. A tank of 10 liters at 200 bars has 2,000 liters of air. If you divide it into 20 liters per minute, you have 100 minutes of breathing at the surface. At 10 meters, it becomes 40 liters. So in theory, you have 50 minutes. Oh, I see. So the further you go down, maybe the more pressure or oxygen you need. Either way, they didn't give me the tank. So I had to figure out how to basically get back up to the surface, and then at that point I was probably unconscious of some sort, yes, and then I had to I was stranded somewhere, so they were no longer there. I had to figure out how to get myself, crawl to wherever I needed to go, get into the hospital. Maybe they helped me, maybe somebody saw me, maybe someone rescued me. I don't really remember, but lots of recovery. So that's just basically where I've been. I've just had hiccup after hiccup after hiccup. Okay, so lots of challenges over here. And finally, there is a podcast. Yay! All right, so Happy New Year, as we said before. By we, I mean me. There's no one else. I wanted to talk about what does it mean to be resourceful? Because I see a lot of times, even myself included, it's like we have these big goals, or you have no goals, or you're like indecisive, you're trying to figure out what you should do. And I think being resourceful is probably, if there's one skill that I would teach my kids, it's being resourceful, because it answers to me. Now, you might argue something else, and I would love to hear your argument and why, because I love to learn new things. It would be being resourceful, because let's look at it. Let's look at the definition. So being resourceful is an adjective, having the ability to find quick and clever ways to overcome difficulties. Okay, so if there's anything we've realized in the last 20 months maybe, is that there's a lot of difficulties that you have to overcome. And the longer it takes you to problem solve, the more challenging it is for you to actually overcome that. If you use all your energy solving the problem, that's great, but like, how do you execute on that, right? So if you are comfortable in uncomfortable situations, you are able to kind of push through to heights and places that you didn't know. And one way we are uncomfortable sometimes is in solitude. Some people call it loneliness or being alone, feeling neglected. Yeah, sure. Solitude is a very healthy thing. Now, I'm not saying that you should be neglected, and I'm not saying you should be left alone and lonely. I understand, but there are some beautiful benefits to solitude. And I think that because we are inundated with notifications and alerts and everyone's thoughts all the time, we forget what we actually think. So let's just go back to being resourceful. For being resourceful, Having the ability to find quick and clever ways to overcome difficulties, I think it's kind of the foundation of whatever your goal is, because if you have goals, let's say you don't have any goals, right? Let's just start with that. You have no goals. So right now I kind of am like, I have some goals from last year that I want to level up on, and then I have some things I'm thinking about, but I don't have a set goal yet, and I'm okay with that. I'm 1 month in, but I'm okay with that because I still have I'm going the same direction, first off. So I'm on a hike, I'm going the same direction. The direction hasn't changed, but maybe how fast I'm going to go, how strategic I'm going to get, how challenging I'm going to make it is basically where my goal is going to be. So I'm really just leveling up. But you have no goals. If you are looking at your ability to find quick and clever ways to overcome difficulties, you just need a little bit of reflection to look at what did you do that was difficult last year? Did you do nothing that's difficult? Why didn't you do that? Did you do too many things that were difficult? I don't ever think we can do too many things that are difficult. Perhaps the timing or the way we approach them, but challenging yourself is important, and we can challenge ourselves in so many different ways. But I think without challenges, life is not the same. Without pain, we really don't appreciate the pleasure. Now, advocating for I'm not advocating for certain types of pain, right? Like for someone to abuse you. That's not what I'm advocating. I just have to say those parameters because I realize that we are all in different scenarios, and we have to have a spectrum for how we're seeing this. So there are some proper pains that we experience, like for what I'm experiencing, the pain of hunger, because I have had my fourth kid and I've gained that it's just the weight is not moving. So I just have to experience the pain of hunger in a healthy way. So I am eating healthy. I am not overeating. I am not undereating. I'm really trying to listen to my body, put healthy, nutritious things into my body. But some days, if I've trained myself to eat a little bit more, from pumping or whatever, you will have to deal with that pain. So if you have no goals and you're dealing with what to figure out, you really want to look back at what you've kind of done over the last year. Maybe look at how you performed since COVID. Look at what you used to do before COVID and try to figure out what are some inconsistencies you've had. What are some things you need to be more consistent at? What are some challenges that you really want to see? If you are a parent, what are some things you want to have your kids see you do? I think it's important for us to understand that what we model for our kids is way more impactful than what we say. So it is important to model a lot of the things that you want your kids to be. Obviously, if you want your kids to go to the NFL and you're not an NFL player, you can't actually model that, but you can model some of those skills that would be helpful. Probably educating them on a brain and what a CTE is, so then they can understand kind of brain damage they may or may not be having, or how to protect their brain, how to fall correctly, how to land before they get hit, the proper way to take a blow, or where the person should hit you, because the impact does matter. It can change the way someone gets a concussion, can change if you get a concussion, not the way someone gets a concussion, but the impact does matter. So perhaps those are the things, and they can see how you take care of your body, how you're taking care of your brain, those kind of things. Okay, so that's what I would suggest. If you have no goals, being resourceful is going to comb back through with a little bit of reflection time. I would say maybe one solid time, 15, 20 minutes, you might be able to see something. But if you don't, write it down. Write down some of the things that come to mind, and maybe do that over a couple days, week, 2 weeks, and you might see a theme or a pattern. And you're lost, you're still lost, ask people. Don't ask the people that tell you everything you want to hear. Ask the people that'll keep it all the way 100. That'll say, you know what? You're always hesitating when it comes to working out, or you're always hesitating when it comes to starting your own business, not quitting your job, but starting your own business, starting something that's important to you, creating an extra revenue stream. Maybe you're hesitating when it comes to being financially responsible, not just spending your money on whatever you feel like, and whatever stress that comes your way, you got to spend something to make yourself feel better. I mean, if you have it like that, if like what you're spending is like 1% of your income and it's everyone's normal income, I mean, sure, I guess, yeah. But most of the time, even then, you really want to have some self-control. Maybe you're not great at standing up for yourself, and you realize that actually would be a very important goal, because if you could do that, it would prohibit certain things in your life. Perhaps you're horrible at saying no. No is a very powerful word. Yeah, of course, sometimes, okay, the truth is I don't usually feel bad to say no, but I feel bad that I don't feel bad. Does that make sense? So I don't feel bad saying no. I actually don't. But what makes me feel bad is that I don't feel bad about it. I feel like, oh, something's wrong with me because I don't mind saying no. And everyone else not everyone else. I run into quite a bit of people that feel bad about saying no. No is a powerful word. Take back your time. Like we always are looking for being productive. How do you do this? How do you do that? It's no. That's how people do it. They say no. They don't go to things. They don't do things. You can't do everything. So sometimes you have to focus in. And here's the thing. If you're trying to close a huge gap in your life, maybe there's a huge gap from where you are and where you need to be, and you want to create like a leap over there, you have to say no so that you can like focus. Now, some people do better in groups. So maybe you're saying no to certain habits, certain people, and you're going to say yes to certain groups, yes to certain things that are going to propel you forward. I do really good just in solitude and being alone. So sometimes it's very distracting for me to be with people because I just lose focus on what I'm supposed to do, and then I just won't do it at all. Like not even at all. Not even. I go from 100 to 0 real fast. So, I mean, I might even end up in the negatives. Okay. So now we're going to go to, if you have your goals set, you're like, oh my gosh, I got my 2022 goals set. It sounds so weird saying that 2022. It just feels weird. Okay. So you got those goals set. I would challenge you, if you have more than 5, get rid of them or categorize them to say like, oh, these are all health related, or oh, these are all financial related, or oh, these are all work related, and kind of find a common theme. Because more than 5 goals, I know people say, oh, I got my 16 goals and stuff, and that's great. I just think it's really hard to focus on that many things. I really think if you could dial it down to 3, it's even better. Just because it's just too much. And like, you really want to be able to check your goals in the morning. Like checking 16 goals is like logging into 16 different email accounts. Yeah, maybe you could get one master account that has all 16 emails, but you still have to individually go in and data check that, right? Maybe you can organize them and find common themes, but it's just not worth it to me. So focus on the 3 that might, or the 5 that really move the other 16. Like if you do these things, they're going to propel these things to go forward. That's the key here. That's number 1. So if you already have your goals set, dial it down. Why? Because in overcoming difficulties and finding quick and clever ways to do that, you need to be able to dial in on where you're at right away. Like, so 16 goals, it's like, oh, well, did I save the $30 I was supposed to save today? Did I do this over here? Did I do that over there? Usually there's common themes. If you're trying to save, there's common themes. There's probably only a couple things that you don't do well with your money. Focus on making one of those better, right? And then protecting that energy. So like maybe you have to talk to someone before you spend anything on something. Just one step that prevents you from doing all the other steps, or make it where it's automatically put into another account. So it's a separate account. You don't see it. It's one that you have to actually go in to withdraw the money from. Like you don't have accounts linked to it. Money can go in there, but money doesn't come out unless you actually go. So you don't have a debit card there. There are simpler ways that you can make things so you're not just spending all your time doing that, right? Because then you won't have energy. If you're like working so hard on the goal, you in planning the goal and the strategy for the goal, where's the energy to actually execute the goal? And so once you dial your goals down, you really want to get familiar with what kind of path you're going to look for or to take. Think of that being at a trail, the trailhead, and you're thinking, okay, maybe there's one route, so you only can go that route. But sometimes trails have multiple ways you can go. They break off. They basically just have other ways you can explore. You want to figure out how you can have one path for these 3 goals. And then that's when you start to use your energy, where you're planning out one route, and each step puts you further along for each goal. So it could be as simple as organizing the way you organize how you would tackle the goals. Like I realized for me, my hardest goal has to be in the morning. My easiest goal needs to be at night. If I have my hardest goal at night, it wouldn't happen. Like, it just wouldn't happen. Like, it would not happen. Get it? It would not happen. So don't, you can do that if you feel like, no, I want the challenge. Sure. But if at the end of the day you want results, get the results first and then add other challenges. Get some consistency, get some confidence there. So it could be as simple as that, or it can be as simple as changing your work style, looking at what you have around you and figuring out how to use it. Now, what does all this have to do with being resourceful? Is a lot of times the reason we have not accomplished our goals, or what stands in the way of actually completing our goal, is our ability to problem solve quickly. As I route out my goals and I route out my strategy, I realize there's some problems already that I foresee. And instead of saying, well, I'll deal with that when I get to it. Like, if your hands are truly tied, like you're just swamped, you have so many other things to do. Okay, fine. But one skill about being resourceful is to find a quick and clever way to deal with something. You kind of need to be a little proactive, not reactive. And you need to, respond in a way that is calming. So let's say whenever you get in a problem, you feel frustrated and you spend 30 minutes spinning your wheels and misdirecting your anger on other people. Well, what would be a better way to spend that 30 minutes? So let's just say you realize you do that 30 times a year. So what is that? 900 minutes. You can get 900 minutes back if you could figure out a step for that. What would that step be? I ask a question. Well, what do I want to do here? So let's say, for example, my car broke down and I'm on my way to somewhere important. My car broke down and I think, what's the best case scenario here? So I have 4 kids with me. The car breaks down. What's the best case scenario? Well, the first step is that I want my kids and me to be safe. So if we're somewhere that's not safe, I need to get us to safety. The second step would be that I want to get, off the road or get to where I need to go quickly. The third step would be that maybe I need to make sure if I'm meeting someone or there's something there that they can be taken care of. So does it have to be taken care of by me? So if, let's say I have a coworker that can easily meet with a client, or I have someone that can help out, then I'm going to plan for them to meet that person while I take care of my kids' safety, my safety, and then perhaps we can reschedule or I can follow up. Another example or another way to deal with that when you're the same scenario would be, what's the goal here? The goal first is the question that I'd ask. So when you're in your scenarios, what is the goal? What result do I want to see? Like if I'm in a scenario where, hey, I want to get here and let the person know I'm going to be a little bit late. Okay, that's fair, right? Or maybe where I'm going as a doctor. Is it possible to reschedule? Is it possible, did I show up in enough time where I could deal with all this? Is it something that my car can be fixed with right away? Now, here's two options. So I could say, you know what? I'm really going to still try to meet this person, right? I'm 30 minutes early and I'm going to try to meet the person. And then I'm going to have AAA get me to the appointment. And then after that, I'm going to have to AAA back and then I'm going to have to do all that. That is one option. So it's like, yeah, I kept my word. I got there. But what was the result? Me exhausted. Kids exhausted. I'm playing this out because we do this. We think, oh yeah, we're going to do this. But probably the smarter thing would have been to either reschedule, let them know what happened, maybe done it over Zoom, over in person, if possible, and or call AAA and just got to a place where you can reserve your energy and think of a better way to solve it in the future. So a lot of times I may use my energy on how to solve this completely. Like, okay, so my car broke down. What would be the best scenario for this not to happen in the future at all? One example is we have a backup car. So if something like this happens, the backup car has car seats in it. You just grab the backup car. AAA can grab it, whatever. We have someone that can grab it. They meet us there, have a backup car, move on. Not everyone's able to do that. It's not, don't even. Okay, sorry, I got interrupted. So I'm not sure exactly where I was at, but let's just go with the idea. I know I was talking about the car. Oh, so there's a backup car. Basically, I want to make it clear that you want to work through what strategy you have for your goals, what challenges you can foresee. So I already foresee some goals that I wanted to complete last year, some goals that I am thinking around, completing this year. Competing and completing in my brain sometimes goes together just because in my head I'm competing against myself. So there's some things I would like to do, right? But I'm working through the strategy because when I start to implement it, I really want it to feel really good and natural. Obviously, there's going to be challenges, but it's really rewarding when the challenge is something you predicted and you actually have a plan of execution for it. I think that's one of the biggest reasons we don't accomplish our goals. And I think the second reason is we really don't want it. We want the glory of the goal, but we really don't want the goal. And so you really have to think about what is most important for your goal. So I think that's one way to be resourceful. This is way longer than I thought. I did have one more tip that I wanted to mention is for being resourceful. Also, for me, I like to take a look, especially every year, and look at everything in my house, look at how I use everything, and really start to see, like, how do I want to use my time? This time you never get back. Do I want to continue to use my time the same? Do I want to continue to to have my extracurricular activities be the same? Do I want to continue to read the same? Are there new books that I need to read? Are there classes that I need to challenge myself? Are there people that I need to hang around? Are there people that I need to not hang around? Or do I just need to take a break? A lot of times my brain gets exhausted very easily with social interaction. So sometimes even though I am a social person, people think because you're social and I'm so talkative, like you hear me, blah, 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 that I'm not someone who enjoys quiet, but I really do. I'm really okay with that. So because I get exhausted and I lose focus easily, sometimes that's the first thing that goes. But here's for you to reflect, like, do you want to spend your money the same? This is, to me, what being resourceful is about. We're going to go further into this because I think if we could change the way we see things and we use our time and we allow things to use us, we're going to experience a very different thing with our goals. And I guess the last thing part of being resourceful is how much of your time are you fighting yourself? Obviously, to complete something that you haven't completed before, or to do something more challenging, or to, really go at your goal, it's going to be uncomfortable. And yes, there's going to be an internal battle, and that is normal. I think seize the day, just work really hard to do that. But I wonder, are you part of the problem? Meaning, so there's a part of you that's just going to be like, yeah, okay, here's a workout. Let's give a workout example. Okay, so there's a workout example of like, what's the workout example? I'm trying to think of like, what's the workout example? Okay, so for example, I'm starting a new workout, and honestly, there's days where I'm like, yeah, I did it. I knew I could. And there's days that I'm thinking, this sucks. I do not want to be here. I could be doing so many other things in my time. This workout sucks. I don't even see any changes, blah, 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 blah. And that's what my brain is saying, right? Now I've noticed myself talking like that. Now I'm thinking, okay, yeah, this workout is changing your future. This pain is helping you to become a better person. When you're a grandmother, you're going to be able to walk around and you're going to have strong bones and you're going to have strong muscles. When, maybe it's going to take you longer to lose your weight this time, but you would have done it naturally. It's really important, especially in a world of BBLs. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Not LBB for all you Oregon people, not LBB, you're Portlanders, BBL. Okay. So in a world of plastic surgery, I feel proud to be able to do things naturally and to have things look naturally. That's just what I am proud of, and no one can take that away from me. And I support that. I really support people doing things naturally because it is much harder. And I do want to encourage that and create an example for that for my children. So with that, in mind, I'm noticing what I'm saying to myself about these goals. Now, I don't believe in being like this, positive person that's delusional. It's like, no, I'm smiling when I work out and there's no pain. And no. I'm fully aware that there's pain. I'm fully aware that I am getting worked. I'm fully aware that I don't want to be there. But instead, I'm reminding myself that this pain is attached to a pleasure that I would like to have later in life, a delayed gratification. And that's why I'm here right now in this moment. And this pain, as I conquer it, gives me a higher pain threshold, higher threshold for pain, as well as being able to do difficult things on the fly. That's a lot of the training your brain to be able to do difficult things. A lot of us, when something gets hard, we're like, you just give up. And that's not it. That's not being resourceful. So take a look at how you've used your time in this last year, last 5 years, last 10 years. Is that how you want to use it in the next 5? If you are a great user of time and you want to use it the same way, then how can you, challenge the way you use your time? Maybe you can get, a second opinion on that. Be careful to get who you get your opinions from, because some people, especially if they don't have goals, they'll hate on you, or if they don't have the knowledge, they will just give you bad information. So just a little food for thought too. But you can still, as long as you know that, filter through that's fine. Like there's times I ask people, I'm fully aware that they're going to give you some bad information, but they might give you a nugget that you didn't think of. So just, be able to filter that. So if we can recap, what is being resourceful? You're able to find quick and clever ways to overcome difficult things, and how to know if you're resourceful. You'll be able to reflect and see how you've done over the last year, over the last 2 years, over the last 5 years, over the last 10 years. And I believe we've probably all been resourceful at something. I tend to think that things that come easy to people are usually the things that they are the most resourceful at. They maybe they view them as, oh, that comes easy to me, but perhaps it perhaps does, but maybe there's some skills that they've developed, or a level of resourcefulness there, right? So start there. That's probably where you want to, what you want to use as the example for how you want resourcefulness to trickle down in other areas of your life. Hone in your goals to, 3 to 5, and really think about a strategy for completing them. Don't just think, I'm going to work out. I have a plan. That's great. You have a workout plan. That's great. You have a get out of debt plan. There's great. But guess what? Stuff happens. You have a plan to deal with that. Like when you're feeling like this is the worst day ever, what's going to get you out of that rut? That is being resourceful. Finding a quick way to deal with that. Finding a quick way to resolve that. And not just giving up on that. That's really what being resourceful is about. All right, so that is all for me. If you enjoyed this, I would love a review, or you can also leave me a voice message by going to anchor.fm/MyLizWeek podcast. I would love to hear from you. If you have questions or feedback, would love to hear that as well. Happy New Year. And maybe the next episode, I will have my goals or focal points together. All right, that is all. All right, that's another episode in the books. Hello? I said it's over. Why are you still listening? Like, seriously, the episode is over. If you're still listening right now, you know what? You're probably a chronic procrastinator. Guess what? I'm still listening to. Come on, for real, seriously. We gotta go do something productive. No, like for real. No, for real. Okay. You can keep listening.